You've seen it before, not with your eyes, but with something older, a woman laughing through tears, pulling you close just to vanish the moment you give in. You call it love, but it isn't. It's the scream beneath language. The curve of her mouth was never joy. It was the shape of a trap carved in velvet. And still, you returned, again and again, drawn to the chaos not to fix it, but to feel it, as if the ache itself proved you were alive, as if her silence was a dare. You pretended to protect her, but it was your collapse she wanted. You thought you could save her, but she was the one setting fire to your spine. Do you remember the scent of rage disguised as perfume, the thrill of losing control, the sacred pull toward a storm that did not need you, but welcomed your ruin? This is not about love. This is about what you let destroy you and called it divine. Ready Nietzsche never looked away. Now neither can you. You were taught to seek the soft, to shelter the trembling, to cradle the storm in your arms as if it could ever love the hands that tried to hold it still. But that is not what she wants, not truly. You think she weeps for peace, but peace is a coffin dressed in white. She does not ache for safety. She aches for the wound, for the one who will bleed beautifully for her, the one who knows how to die without begging. Do you understand what that means to be chosen not for your kindness, but for the sharpness of your fall, for the poetry of your ruin? She is not cruel, she is honest. She does not desire stability, she desires meaning. And in a world where meaning is murdered daily, only your agony makes her feel alive. You called it chaos, but chaos is just clarity without apology. You called her damaged, but her damage was your mirror. What you could not bear to see in yourself, you renamed in her. She wasn't lost. She was waiting for the one who would stop trying to fix her and start trembling in her presence. You see, women do not love like men. They do not climb mountains for conquest. They become the mountain. And you, poor fool, thought you could summit her without falling. But she saw your cowardice. She smelled your hesitation. She tasted your half-hearted surrender and fed it back to you with a smile. Because she knew the ones who cannot endure pain cannot endure love. You ask why women are drawn to emotional chaos. It is because chaos reveals. It strips. It exposes. It shreds the masks and reveals what remains when control is no longer possible. In that moment, there is something sacred, something raw, something ancient. You've seen it in her eyes, not affection, but hunger, not comfort, but challenge. The question is never, will you love me? The question is, can you survive me, not as a threat, but as a test of truth? She does not want to be your muse. She wants to be your crucible. She does not want the pedestal. She wants your spine breaking under the weight of her reality. If you are lucky, she will not kiss you gently. She will carve open the parts of you that still pretend. And yet, you keep offering her apologies, as if remorse could arouse her. You bring her flowers and forget that she thrives in ashes. You write her poetry but censor the violence in your ink. She is not listening. She is watching. She is waiting to see if your words can bleed. She does not want a knight. She wants a mirror she can shatter. She wants a man who knows how to stand in fire and not scream. You thought she would heal if you gave her calm. But calm is betrayal to the soul that has tasted the sublime terror of unfiltered feeling. She did not want your control. She wanted your chaos, but only if it could match hers. You built a temple and called it love. She danced through it with bare feet, laughing, burning the walls. Because love, to her, was never worship. It was war. Not the kind that wounds bodies, the kind that exposes souls. You mistake her silence for distance, but her silence is scripture. She is reading your every move, measuring your weakness, sensing the softness behind your mask of strength. Do you flinch when she cries? Do you retreat when her eyes grow wild? Then you are not worthy, because she does not need to be calmed. She needs to be met fully, without hesitation, without safety nets, without the fear of breaking. She tests not because she is cruel, but because she has been betrayed by too many men who mistook her depth for damage, who called her irrational when her instincts were clearer than their logic, who feared the storm and tried to cage it. But storms cannot be caged, they must be joined. She is not seeking your help, she is seeking your collapse. Not into madness, into truth, into the part of you that you locked away long ago when you chose comfort over confrontation. She wants to see that man, the one who knows how to scream without words, the one who bleeds without blame, the one who loves without seeking return. And yes, it will cost you everything soft, everything false, everything borrowed. You will lose the smile you wear for approval. You will lose the stories you tell to seem gentle. You will lose the lie of being the good man, because she does not want good. She wants real. She wants the parts of you that terrify even you. And if you dare to give them, she will not run. She will open, but only for the one who does not flinch. Only for the one who sees the abyss in her and jumps anyway. She is not afraid of your darkness. She is afraid of your denial of it. You call it emotional chaos. She calls it home, because in chaos, there is no pretense, no roles, no masks, just feeling, just fire, just two bodies caught in the ritual of truth. She does not want your kindness if it is offered out of fear. She does not want your gentleness if it hides a coward's heart. She will respect your fury more than your flowers. She will remember your silence more than your speeches. She will kneel only to the man who does not need her to kneel, the man who walks toward her not with strategy, but surrender, not as conqueror, but as offering. You want her to soften. She wants you to shatter, not into pieces, but into essence. The man who emerges after the lie of strength is burned away, that is the man she will open to. Not because he controls her, but because he dares to see her. Not the surface, not the smiles, not the story, but the screaming beneath it. The wound she has polished into art, the ache she has renamed as love. That is what she shows you. That is what she asks of you. Not gifts, not promises, but presence. Painful, trembling, naked presence. And when you refuse, when you flinch, when you explain, when you try to fix, she will smile, quietly, and leave. Not because she does not care, but because she does. Because she knows what it costs to remain unseen. She has stayed too long in places that dimmed her fire. She will not stay again. She would rather be alone in chaos than comforted in a lie. And so she walks not away from you, but toward herself. And you will call her difficult. You will call her emotional. But what she really was awake. And what you were was afraid. You think she wanted your love, but she only ever wanted your truth, and not the polished one, the raw one, the one you buried under etiquette, under kindness, under the mask of decency. She is not drawn to your perfection. She is watching for the flicker behind your eyes, the twitch when your voice breaks, the silence after your certainty collapses. You call that weakness. She calls it the beginning. Because only when you fracture do you become worth watching. Only when you no longer know what to say do your words begin to matter. She does not want to be adored. She wants to be seen in her terror, in her rage, in her wild, unraveling bloom. And she wants you to survive her. But first, she will rip you open. Do you understand yet? Her love is not warm. It is not soft. It is not safe. Her love is a mirror. And when you look into it, you will not see her. You will see yourself naked, unfinished, unworthy. She doesn't care about your future. She cares whether your hands shake when you touch her now. You will see the man behind the performance, the boy who wanted to be enough, the animal who still growls in the dark. She does not flinch at that. She studies it. She leans closer, because she knows something you don't, that only those who face themselves fully are capable of giving her what she craves, not affection, but fire, not promises, but presence. You have tried to tame her with gifts, with titles, with dreams of stability. But what can you give the woman who has already swallowed herself whole? You offered her certainty, and she choked on it. You offered her protection, and she shattered it with laughter. She does not want to be safe. She wants to burn with you, to undo you, to test whether your soul can bleed truth when there is no one left to impress. She has no use for your ambition if it is not rooted in madness. She will not worship your power unless it trembles at her feet, because she is not looking for a master. She is looking for a match. You built your manhood on control, but she is a storm. You will not outthink her. You will not contain her. And when she smiles, it is not approval. It is warning. Because her love is the most brutal form of honesty, it will show you every place you still lie to yourself, every edge you've dulled, every impulse you've repressed to appear civilized. And if you cannot stand the sight of that reflection, you will call her cruel. You will call her cold. But the truth is, she is the only one who ever told you the truth. She just did it with her eyes, with her silence, with her absence. You do not understand why she left. It is because you flinched, because you mistook her depth for need, because you touched her with hands that feared being cut, and she smelled that fear. She always does. You thought you could enter her without being seen. You thought you could love her without offering your own chaos. But she demands sacrifice, not of flowers, not of gold, but of illusions. If you cannot place your mask at her feet, do not touch her skin. She is not here to be desired. She is here to destroy everything in you that desires the unreal. She is a mirror with teeth, and she bites, not because she wants to harm you, but because she wants to wake you. Do you feel that ache, that low, unnameable hunger that is not her, that is you? She only amplified it. She only revealed the emptiness you've dressed in fantasies. And now you hate her for it, because you thought love would heal you. But real love does not heal. It hollows, it strips, it shatters. And if there is something left, then perhaps you are worthy of her gaze. But be warned, she does not offer reassurance. She offers the abyss. And within that abyss, if you dare to linger, you will see what she sees. That love is not goodness. It is gravity. It pulls. It tears. It does not make you better. It makes you raw. And in that rawness, in that unbearable honesty, you may finally become something worth loving, not because you are perfect, but because you are real, because you bleed when truth touches you, because you no longer run. You wanted her to believe in you, but she only believes in fire, in intensity, in those rare moments when two people stop pretending and start trembling. If you cannot tremble, you cannot be with her. If you cannot say, "I don't know," she will never trust you, because she knows the men who are most sure of themselves are the ones most terrified of being truly seen. And she will not play along with your illusion. She would rather sit alone in silence than nod along to your mask. And yet, she is not unkind. She simply refuses to lower herself. She will not dim her chaos to make you comfortable. She will not rewrite her hunger to fit your script. She will not feign submission to soothe your pride. She is not your prize. She is your reflection, and she reflects what you cannot yet face. Do you see now, her love is not a gift. It is a challenge. It is the ancient scream buried in every man who has ever loved a woman, not to possess her, but to be remade by her. This is why you fear her, not because she hurts you, but because she sees you, and she does not flinch. She does not flatter. She waits and watches to see if you will collapse, to see if you will run, to see if you will finally stop performing and bleed. If you do, she may stay or she may not, because she does not owe you her presence just because you woke up too late. She is not your reward. She is the test. And if you pass, it is not with words. It is with silence, with surrender, with the brutal honesty of standing before her without armor. You are not the first. You will not be the last. But perhaps, if you stop pretending, you will be the only one who ever truly saw her. Not as symbol, not as salvation, but as storm, as scream, as mirror. And if you dare to love her, still not in spite of that, but because of it, then maybe, just maybe, she will open and show you not her softness, but something far more sacred, her hunger, her shadow, her ruin, and in that ruin, something beautiful, not peace, not comfort, but meaning, meaning that bleeds, meaning that bites, meaning that will never apologize for existing. You cannot own her, you cannot fix her, you cannot define her. You can only burn beside her and hope your fire is bright enough to be seen, because in the end, that is all she wants. Not your soul, not your future, but your truth, in its ugliest, rawest, most trembling form. And if you give it not as offering, but as essence, she may love you, not with smiles, but with storms. She will never tell you what she needs, because the moment she must explain it, it's already dead. She waits instead, listens to the silence between your gestures, watches your fingers when you lie, measures your desire not by what you say, but by what you destroy for her. Do you want her, or do you want the idea of being wanted by her? She knows the difference, and if you hesitate, if you ask her to be patient with your half-formed truths, she will smile not kindly, but with that sharp, unsparing grace that only those who have survived themselves can carry. You were never asked to be perfect, only to be honest. But you dressed yourself in performance and called it devotion, and now she sees your every movement as theater. She does not hate you. She simply no longer believes in you. Her love is not for the cautious. It is not for the careful man, the man with a plan, the man who wishes to build a future. That kind of love is a negotiation, a contract, and she was never made to live by terms. She is ritual, not reason. Her blood flows with myth, not morals. When she dances with your ruin, she does not mourn the parts of you that collapse. She rejoices in it, not because she is cruel, but because what falls was false. She will not cry over your broken mask. She will kneel in reverence to the thing underneath it, but only if you let it surface, only if you let the lie die. She cannot worship a man who will not die symbolically for her, not literally, not romantically, spiritually. She needs your fall, your descent, not into chaos, but into clarity, into confrontation with the shadow you have polished into charm. The parts of you you hide in favor of being chosen, the ache you disguise as stability. She has no interest in being with a man who has never been undone, because a man who has never died within himself does not know what it is to truly live. And if you cannot live, how can you touch her soul without staining it with cowardice? You speak of love like a refuge. She speaks of it like a fire, not one that warms, but one that devours. She doesn't want to be your home. She wants to be your undoing. She wants to be the ritual that strips you of every comfort, every habit, every certainty. She wants to be the scream that unmakes your voice, the altar upon which you sacrifice your false gentleness. Because only then, only in that raw collapse, does she begin to feel you, not as role, not as man, but as force, as risk, as myth. And only then does she begin to open, not her legs, her soul. Do not be deceived, this opening is not passive. It is violent. It is holy. It is an initiation. She becomes more dangerous the more she trusts you, because now she knows she can expose herself fully and expects you to remain, not to fix, not to save, but to stand, to witness, to burn beside her. Most men fail here. They beg for her vulnerability and flee from the magnitude of it. They say, "I want all of you," but cannot even carry the ashes of her truth. And she knows. She always knows. The ones who beg for her chaos rarely survive it, because they still believe love is something owed, not earned in blood. Her ruin is not tragedy, it is transformation. And if you're not willing to be transformed too, she will leave you behind, not with hatred, but with silence, because she no longer wastes her ritual on those who cannot bear its price. She is done praying over hollow men. She is done dancing for the deaf. She is done bleeding for the blind. She has become her own altar, her own flame, her own resurrection. If you cannot kneel to that, not in submission, but in recognition, she will walk alone, not out of bitterness, out of clarity. She will love again, but not easily. The more a woman dies and returns, the fewer men she sees as gods. She has passed through too many fires to be moved by candles, and so she waits, not for safety, for danger that sings truth, for the rare soul who will not be intimidated by her intensity, who will not flinch when her voice shatters, who will not call her crazy for revealing the violence of her tenderness. She does not want a lover who survives her. She wants one who disappears with her into the space where names dissolve, and all that remains is essence. You thought love was about merging, but for her, love is about annihilation, not loss of self-exposure of it. And if you merge with her, it is only because every layer between you has been burned. There is no holding hands here, only clashing souls, only the long, agonizing dance of two truths trying to outbleed each other. And if you dare to keep up, she will give you something more precious than affection. She will give you madness. Not the madness that destroys, the madness that reveals, the madness that says, now that you have died for me, I will live for you. But that comes only after the fall, after the fracture, after the last illusion crumbles. Until then, you are just another man trying to tame a wildfire with water, and she has drowned too many times to be impressed. Do you want to know why she disappears after your sweetest gesture? Because you offered it with expectation, because you coated it in fear, because your gift was not free. You wanted love in return and she saw it. She always sees it, and she vanished. Not because you failed to give enough, but because you failed to give without need. You are still trying to be good. She wants you true. You are still trying to please. She wants you undone. You are still trying to survive her. She wants you reborn. Do you feel the difference now between love and longing, between attraction and ritual, between romance and sacrifice? She is not here to be held. She is here to be met in the depths, in the dread, in the silence where no performance survives. If you do not know that place, you do not know her, and she will not teach you. That is not her work. That is your descent to make. And when you descend far enough, when you finally crawl through your own hunger and reach the root of it, you will find her there, waiting, unmoved, unforgiving, unforgettable. She will not praise your arrival. She will simply nod because now, finally, you are worth her dance. Not because you've changed, because you've shed, not because you became worthy, but because you finally stopped pretending to be. She does not need you, she never did. But if you can stand in front of her, broken and blazing and empty of illusion, then maybe, for one trembling moment, she will choose you, not to save, not to soothe, but to ruin again, together. There is a door she leaves open. It is not for you to enter. It is for you to see behind it the scent of blood and perfume, the sound of breath that was never yours, a mirror with no reflection, a dance without music. You may knock once. If she does not answer, the silence is the answer. And if she does, do not speak, do not thank her, do not ask what it means. Just step in barefoot, bleed quietly, and leave nothing behind but your name. She will never say goodbye. She never does. Because she was never a woman. She was the ritual, and you were the offering.